Okay. Good morning, world. How are we today? So this morning, all I could think to myself was, wow, I turn away or I look away for 2 seconds and not keeping up with what's going on in the news, and what happens Trump is just bombing the crap out of a country, killing its supreme leader, and bombing all girls school, over 1,000 deaths. I think it's 1,500 or so reported at the moment, but obviously that number's going to get higher, and they're not including, when they talk about it, they talk about civilians and soldiers as separate numbers. I'm so disgusted. And I'm appalled at, basically anyone who is supporting Trump's actions right now. And this is coming from a person, by the way, who used to be pro-Trump. Yes, I did. I had the wool pulled over my eyes about Trump too. I thought he was a good Christian man, the way he spruiked about all of that, part of his campaigning, and whatnot. I thought he was a man of good morals. And no, I think he is actually just a businessman, greedy for as much money as he can get his grubby little fingers on. And all he cares about, actually, in real life is how much money and power he can obtain for himself, and how much power he can have over everyone else in the world, all the other leaders. And that seems to me to be very clear, with even, his and his spokespeople's comments about, anyone who is not, standing side by side with the US in their attack on Iran, that they are basically weak allies, and, that they're too nervous, they're too scared, they're clutching their pearls, as they said. When really every other country, whether they're an ally with the US or not, every other country has their own, public interest, their own country's interests to think about, their own safety to think about, their own diplomacy, the way they handle themselves in the global world stage, as it were. Sorry, Trump, that not everyone is just, putting down their cup of tea and toast and running off as quick as they can to come stand next to you in your next bullcrap fight, destroying a country for your own vested interest in whatever it is that they've got in their country that you want, or whatever you want them to not have. Okay, because, again, with the, it seems very obvious that all of this is for Trump's power, for the US's power, to dominate and control other leaders, other countries. Since when did Trump or the US become the boss of everybody? Like, really? You know, like, are people fully aware that there is, like, you know, a world court, there are human rights, like, that all countries have to abide by? You know, there is like a investigation process into anything that's put forward as a crime against humanity or against you know, populations around the world and things like that. There are proper ways of going about things, even in the case of say a leader was doing wrong by its own citizens, right? I don't understand how it's legal or just for the leader of the US to go around the world declaring war, basically, on so many different countries if you don't do what I say, or if you don't give me what I want. You know, like, it's actual, just typical bully behaviour that you would find in a school ground, you know? And here's Trump thinking that he is just so smart. Oh, I am so intelligent. I have the best weapons, you know, I have the best military force. Everybody should be scared of me. You know, like, just, oh my God, it's embarrassing. It's pathetic. It's like, you know, when someone has their head shoved so far up their own arse that they don't even realize how embarrassed they should be about themselves. That's Trump. That is Trump. You know, and I think it is time as well for everybody who has been a Trump supporter to really reflect on this man, reflect on his actions, reflect on his words, and use your own discernment instead of letting the propaganda machine that was the Trump campaign, instead of letting that influence your brainwaves about this man, like, actually just look black and white, like as if it's written on paper, black and white, at what this man has achieved since becoming president again, and really think about it. Really think about it. This man is not a good man. And, you know, I know that there is this whole thing of, oh, no, he's, you know, trying to protect the world against drugs, you know, that he claims people were trying to bring into the country on those ships that he, or, you know, the ships that he bombed and killed all them people. Was there actual proof of that ever recovered? Was there? Did anyone anywhere ever get proof that the people that he bombed and killed in those ships, were they actually carrying drugs? Were they actually trying to bring illegal drugs illegally into the US? I'd really like to know that. I'd like to know what proof there was of that, because I haven't seen any. I haven't heard about any. All as far as I know, all we have is Trump's word about it. You know, and then what happened in where was it? Wasn't Mexico, was it? Where was it that he's gone in and, you know, had his SWAT team basically go in and scoop someone up out of their bed in the middle of the night and, you know, bring them back to the US, and they're charging this, you know, president, you know, for drug crimes or working with the cartel or something like that. Like, is that legal? Can you just go into any country and go scoop up their leader? Can you? In the name of whatever crap you're saying that they're guilty of. You know, and you've just got to show some footage of 50 people saying, yay, thanks Trump, which were probably paid off by, you know, Trump government or something. You know, they're probably implants. We all know about implants. Don't try to say that that's not a real thing. That's a real thing. You know, all you got to show is a few people saying, yay, thanks for doing that. And then, well, that justifies your actions. That makes you the good guy. Like what's happening with that guy that you scooped up out of his bed? What's happening with that? I mean, I don't know. Please inform me. Maybe I'm ignorant. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I don't know. And now then you've got, all this crap with Greenland. Because he wants the rare earth minerals that are there. And basically he is bullying even, the people who are supposed to be his allies. He is willing to go to war with them. And 2 seconds ago, several countries from Europe were banding together to protect Greenland from Trump. And now, he's kind of put that on the back burner for a second, I think. And now he's all focused about Iran because, the whole thing with Greenland was making him look too obvious as a bully, wasn't it? It was making him look like, a piece of crap. It was making him look like the bad guy. Whereas this whole thing with Iran, if we just move the spotlight over here and focus in over here and have a whole, PR campaign of how we word it and what footage we show and all this sort of stuff, we could really put a spin on this, can't we? To make Trump look like a hero again, to make him look like the good guy, and Iran, they're the evil, sadistic, sick leader, sick country. Look at all this language being used. All because what? What was the reason that he's not happy with them? He'll say that it's because he doesn't want them to ever have nuclear weapons, right? But he doesn't want them to have nuclear power. You know how you can power a country like energy with nuclear, right? Yeah, he doesn't even want them to have that. And he doesn't want them to have a government, a regime, a way of doing things in their country that he doesn't agree with. Well, I'm sorry, but isn't that the whole deal with countries running their own countries, their own style? Like, not every country has the same belief system. Not every country governs in the same way. You can have a democracy that's one style, but there are many different styles of running a country, isn't there? And I'm blanking out right now, obviously, but you know what I mean, right? And some countries still have royal families, like England, and I believe still over in the Middle East in many countries. But the point is that who made Trump or the US the boss of the world about how a country is run, what type of governance or regime that they have, who should be the leader of what country, and whether they should have a vote or a say on who takes over being the leader of a country after America swoops in with their military or their SWAT team and kills the guy who's currently leading, or takes him away and puts him in jail. I mean, since when does Trump or the US legally even have that right? Because that opens the door, does it not, for any country to then go in and take the same actions against leaders of other countries. And then where does that leave us? Really, where does that leave us? That any government can just go in and just scoop up the king of a country, the president of a country, the prime minister of a country, and we're all supposed to just be like, yeah, no, yep, that's normal. That's completely normal. Oh, wait, what's happening to our country now? Who's going to lead us? Oh, what? Everything's going to change now overnight because, someone scooped up our leader. Someone has completely changed our regime overnight. What the hell? That's chaos. Since when is that allowed? If people don't like the country that they live in, they can leave. They can leave. No one's stopping them. Okay, I do understand sometimes maybe there are things in play that are very dangerous and scary for people to leave their countries. I understand, but I'm saying, right? In Iran, was there a problem with people coming in or out? Was there a problem with its citizens catching a plane to America if they want to live there, or to Australia, or to anywhere? Was there an issue with them relocating? Was there? Or did they always have that choice if they're not happy with their country or the way it's been run? Because, and I know that they've been trying to show footage of, 1,000 people or whatever it was, a few hundred people, don't know. Basically saying like, oh, thanks Trump. They're probably the same fools who were protesting in the streets about the cost of living crisis that they were enduring after Trump had sent missiles or whatever to destabilize their economy and their infrastructure. That was literally all Trump's doing on purpose. And instead of people being angry at the US or angry at Trump, somehow there was people at those protests who were anti-government and spreading propaganda that you would hear come out of Trump's mouth. It is just such a freaking joke. It is a freaking joke. It is. And then you've got footage being shown of people saying, oh, thanks Trump, thanks for killing our leader, our supreme leader who's been, leading us for the last 30 odd years. Did you also see the footage of the thousands and thousands and thousands of people in the street who were mourning the loss of their leader, of their supreme leader? Did you see that? Did you see how the US has bombed, the US/Israel have bombed a children's school? Do you think about how, I know the media also loves to play along with, Iran has, retaliated, sending missiles that have hit this and this gas thing or this oil thing and in Dubai even, where lots of tourists go. Yeah, do you think that Iran doesn't have tourists? Do you think that Iran, the only people killed was the supreme leader? No. Even before now, the supreme leader's right-hand man or whatever was assassinated, before all this. It's an absolute joke how, Trump and his PR team and the media, and anyone who wants to suck up his ass, basically, just puts their spin on it, don't they? To make themselves look like the good guys, to make them look like the heroes, oh, we're your saviors, and make the other guy the bad guy, That's called propaganda, people. It's called propaganda. And all throughout history, all your little history books even, what do you think they are? They are books of propaganda. It all depends on where it was written. Who was it written by? Who do they support? What country are they from? Who are they trying to promote in their book? And who are they trying to villainize in their book? Just because it's a book doesn't mean it's fact. It's just... It's outrageous what is actually going on. And, you know, then Trump is playing his best card per usual, making, you know, basically threats towards his own allies. You know, saying that, well, if you don't change your mind and support me and Israel in our attack on Iran and their new, you know, step in leader, step in government, since we've killed the old guy, you know, we might rethink our tariffs on you. We might rethink our business deals with you and whether or not we want you as an ally moving forward. Because if you're not with us on the front line, if you're just sitting back clutching your pearls, you know, then yeah, we're going to punish you for that. We're going to punish you for that because that makes us look bad. That makes our actions seem questionable. Yeah, Trump, because they are. They are. And we should all be looking into the legality of it. We should all be looking into possible crimes against humanity or crimes against people, like just people's human rights, that you might be guilty of. Because quite frankly, ever since Trump got in power again, it's all been a little questionable, hasn't it? I mean, really, if anyone else was behaving the way that Trump was, really, if anyone else was behaving the way that Trump was, of any other country, leader of any other country, would we not all be talking about it? Would we not be having every second, you know, news piece villainizing that person and talking about, you know, what terrible morals they have and what terrible actions they are guilty of and all that sort of stuff, talking about that they need to get locked up in you know, a prison or whatever. Of course we would be. Of course we would be. Because the actions that Trump has been taking is not the actions of a hero. It's not. Don't get that mistaken. It's the actions of a greedy for money and power bully. That's it. And again, with use your own discernment. Don't believe everything that you read or hear or even see. Okay, we also know that we live very heavily in the world of AI and things that can be manipulated with AI, let alone just how they are intentionally trying to manipulate people with you know, showing footage of a few hundred people that are, you know, of the opinion that they didn't like the leader who's just been killed, so they're like celebrating. Don't let that manipulate you into thinking that the whole entire country just didn't like that guy, because that's not true. And I'm not, you know, fully standing up for this guy. I'm not fully saying, oh no, he was a really great guy, we should all be really sad. But you know, like, they're even supposed to be having, it's like 40 days of mourning for their country right now, for that leader, the supreme leader who's just been killed, and a week of public holiday, just like everything shut down, like in respect of the guy, and then, you know, government being like rearranged and whatever. And in that time that, you know, people are supposed to be respectful of, what has happened? They've just been like constantly under attack, just bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb going off in their country. Like, how are they supposed to mourn? You know, anyone who wants to mourn the supreme leader, you know, how are you supposed to do that? You can't do that in the streets. You can't barely even do that in your home. I mean, you're at risk of being bombed to death yourself, you know, at any given moment. And you know, yes, the stand-in guy who's likely going to take over as president, you know, or supreme leader, yeah, he's, you know, fumbling to try to retaliate and keep his country strong, you know, held together, and you know, trying to fill that space. But of course, things are going to be weakened at the moment in many different ways for their country. And it's just like, yeah, they're just like under attack. You know, I mean, yeah, it's America would, raise all hell if just one of their civilians was killed in a country in some sort of attack. But it's okay for them to go over and kill hundreds, if not thousands. It's okay for them to destabilize country after country. Israel, oh, we're not allowed to talk bad about Israel, but just look what they're guilty of, really. I mean, just everything that has been playing out for the last year or whatever is just such a joke. It is such a joke. And you know what? Look forward to your country getting sucked into it, because your leaders are also going to get bullied by Trump into bending over and, adhering to whatever Trump wants from you. So look forward to, any risks that might pose for you and your family. Yep, that's where we're at. Okay, well, Bubby is waking up. We have things to do. But you all have a good day. Try not to get too pulled into it, I guess. Come back again to ignorance is bliss sometimes, isn't it? It was a nice few days of me not paying attention to the news. I might do that again for a day or so, because it's infuriating. It is. Okay. You all have a good day, and be blessed. Be grateful for what you have. Be positive. Pray. Bye.